first of all, you seem like, the quiet guy in Porcupine Tree, like always playing bass on stage, very cool. And yeah, I would like to know how and when did you learn to play bass, and what were your influences, considering bass players and considering bands in general?
Okay. Well, I've played bass for a long time, for about 20 years now, a bit more. And I come from quite a musical family. So my father played jazz guitar, he's a big jazz guitar fan. And my older brother plays classical guitar, and he's quite accomplished. And I've got two older sisters, and they both played. One played the piano and the other played the violin. So when I grew up, there was music going on all the time. And my father used to listen to a lot of jazz, like Oscar Peterson and Joe Pass, and a lot of jazz guitar, stuff like that. And my older brother listened to a lot of classical music like Mozart. And my two older sisters, who really probably had more to do with it, influencing me, were just obsessed with disco music at the time, because it was the late 70s, and also some of the late punk stuff as well. So I used to hear Oscar Peterson, The Stranglers, Chic, Sister Sledge, Santana and Mozart, and lots of Baroque stuff from my brother. So it was a really, really good environment, I think. But I remember gravitating towards, there's certain things that I gravitated towards. My sister had a Stranglers record that I really liked, and also a Can CD, single. A Can single. They had a German band had a hit in England in the 70s. So I remember discovering them. Yeah. And there's certain things that I never get bored of hearing. She had the first Police album, my older sister, and I listened to that a lot as well. But I was very fortunate. I wanted to take up music. I was the only one that never was encouraged to learn an instrument. And when I was about 15, I managed to persuade my father to buy me a bass. And I was very lucky. I met somebody who lived very near us who was a professional musician, professional bass player. And he actually really, in a very informal kind of way, taught me. And it wasn't kind of a structured, formal thing, but he taught me lots of things like how to read music, how to, lots of theory and stuff that I just never would have picked up sitting and playing along to records. So I was very lucky. I had a very solid sort of grounding in lots of things. And when I decided that I wanted to do music full time, I kind of was able to cope with lots of the situations that I came into. And I was able to earn money and keep doing it. So I was very lucky, I think.
And you were born in Melbourne, I think, in Australia. How did you get to Britain, or were you just born there, or did you first live in Australia?
Yeah, my parents emigrated to Australia in the 60s, and I was born while they were there. And I was very young when we came back to England, so I was only about 5 years old. But my older sister, one of my older sisters, still lives there, so we still have a connection with the place. And it was just, I think my parents got homesick. So I think, my father particularly. So we came back to live in England, and really I've grown up in England, and my whole education system, I've gone through the British education system and lived there all the time.
And how did you meet Stephen? How did you join Porcupine Tree? Because the first Porcupine Tree albums are, like just Stephen did all the stuff, and then I think with Signify he had an actual band. And yeah, how come that you joined?
Well, I've known Steve for a long time. We actually went to the same school, and the thing is, if you're into music, it was quite a big school, but there's always a small group of people that are into music, and we tended to gravitate towards each other, and play together and stuff. And Steve was a couple of years older than me, but I actually knew him because some of the people in his form, I think, were like prefects in my class, so they were kind of like looking after. So I got to know Steve, and he was always been really into recording, and I was actually very interested in that as well myself. And I originally thought I was going to end up as a recording engineer, which is something I took very seriously. And I remember doing a course when I was about 17. But anyway, Steve had this project going. I can remember him wanting me to play. I played on a track on Up the Downstair, which was I knew was a side project for him at the time, and it wasn't ever seen as a kind of serious thing. I think it was just something he wanted to do. And then I think that what happened was he probably got offered some shows because he had a guy working as a kind of manager for Porcupine Tree at the time. And the first thing that I did was the first thing the band did as an entity was a week of shows in England, and that culminated in a BBC session. So that was the first time the whole band got together, and we did a week's rehearsal. It's the first time I'd met Richard and Chris, so even though I'd known Steve for a long time. And it worked really, really well. I think it went better than anybody expected it to go. I mean, I didn't have any expectation at all. For me, it was just another gig and another opportunity to play some interesting music. And I knew Steve, so I knew it was going to be, something different or something interesting. We had kind of crossover in what we listened to. And that worked really well. And I think after that, Signify was the album that came after that. And Steve wanted to make it more of a band thing, and have us play together a lot more. And it's kind of grown on from there, very slowly, I should say. But it's grown on from there and become what it is today.
And could you describe Stephen as a musician and a person?
Well, he's very focused and he's very driven. So he has a very big drive to do his own thing. And, we have our differences. I've described him in the past as a sort of benevolent dictator, there's some kind of truth in that. But, we get along really well. I mean, I think the fact that the band's been together for so long, and it's difficult to describe to people that haven't done a tour before, but you're basically married to the other people on the bus, You have to spend all your time together, and we managed to get on pretty well, and we have a good working relationship, and so, everything's fine with that. But we have, I'm always been interested in what Steve's into. He's been kind of instrumental in getting me into lots of things. I'm a little bit kind of, I'm quite open-minded, but, sometimes I need a bit of pushing to get into things, but he's introduced me to some music and stuff. He's always done that as long as I've known him. He continues to do that as well.